Okay, this is upgrading LED bulbs on a 2009 Kia Sedona, and I bought this Leppein set off of Amazon. I chose this one because on the 2009 Kia Sedona, the low beams are H11Bs, and all the other sets for 2009 Kias that I could find were H11s. So the problem is on an 11B, you've got blade connectors, and I'll show you the bulb when I take that out. So your set that you buy off of Amazon is going to have two LED bulbs. I'm assuming these extra wires are for, there's some extra wires down in here. I'm assuming this is for maybe a different car model because they sell the same kit for different vehicles. From what I can tell, this is not needed for the 2009 Kia Sedona. So, they do include instructions. Instruction booklet. It's pretty basic, and according to it, with an H11, which they don't say H11B, it says H11. You just stick the socket in, you turn it, and you plug it in. Of course, the connector is totally wrong for an H11B for a Sedona. So, this might be a good point of reference, but on this vehicle, I found that these bulbs will not directly connect. So I had to make a little modification. So this video is to kind of give some information on that. On these bulbs, you've got a little plastic piece that slides off. And that's awesome to go throwing it around. Anyway, so you've got this piece. So what I found on this vehicle is that this piece needs to be trapped underneath the housing, which I'll show you here in a little bit. And then the bulb will slide into this. So this will be in your housing, and you will end up just sliding this back down. This will end up just sliding back down onto this and holding the bulb in place. So it goes tight. Okay. Because what I found is when you just try to insert this and do any kind of twisting or any kind of deal, there's nothing for this Sedona that matches up to this. So I'll show you my solution. Alright, so generally speaking, taking out a Kia Sedona light bulb is pretty simple. The low beam is your outside, so you're not going to be able to get to it without pulling the headlight assembly out, but that's really pretty quick and easy. You've got one 10 millimeter bolt here, one 10 millimeter bolt here. You might want to pull this, and possibly this. This doesn't have to come off, but you need to get under it, because this clip comes over to the headlight assembly, and you need this to come up enough to get that clip out. And then you might need this to be up a little bit to reach under and get that bolt put back in when you're done. Alright, so for this video, tools that you absolutely have to have, you're going to have a 10 millimeter deep socket, which you're going to have to get into a deeper hole here. You're going to have a Phillips screwdriver. I prefer something like this that has, this actually has a magnetic piece in it, so you can get some magnetic lift. You may actually need a regular standard screwdriver because the shaft is smaller, and inside the headlight housing there's a lip, and so it's going to this fatter screwdriver is going to create problems potentially if you've got a tight screw, which I did on one of them. The other one I didn't have any issues with, but I had to break out my regular Phillips screwdriver for that one. You want to make sure you have like a PH2 tip. You don't want a small tip, because some of those screws are tight, so they need you're going to have a larger tip to make sure you don't strip it. You may need a flathead for helping to pry these little plastic pieces out, these little holders. The top is obviously a large flathead, but sometimes when you get them out, you have to get large Phillips on the top, on the bottom you might need like a little flat head or really good strong thumbnail to pull those out. Of course, optional tools, good LED flashlight so you can drop a bolt, whatever you can see, and you guys know telescoping magnet in case you drop a bolt. Those are optional tools. Another thing that's optional but might be useful is dielectric grease, and you'll see me use these throughout the entire video. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Okay, so we're loose. I'm popping these little guys out. Can be tricky. You want a large flat head because you don't want to strip this out if possible. Sometimes you put just a little bit of force on these and they should spin, but in this case the entire piece is spinning. So I'm going to have to use two hands because I'm going to have to trap this while I'm turning this to get this to come out. You can just straight pop them, but alright, this one's cooperating a little better, it's a little tighter. See how it comes up when you unscrew it? Now I'm not putting a lot of down pressure on this because this will just pop right back down. You see that? So you want to just get enough pressure on it to keep from stripping that top, and just get it enough. Get your fingernail or flathead underneath it, and then you can pop it up enough. Get your finger out, get your finger underneath it, then it pops out. So there's one. I'm gonna have to do this one with two hands, so we won't be able to video that one. And same thing here. So you saw one, you get the idea. Alright, so I've got these three out. So now I can lift this. There's a little clip right here. And now I can get my bolt out. Okay, so last bolt. Set that up there. So now this will lift up and get out of the way and allow me to pull the headlight assembly out. There's not really a lot of good places to grab a hold of this. Sometimes you get lucky and get your fingernails underneath here. You don't want to pry up on this too much because it will break. Ask me how I know. Okay, so there, I angled this out. Okay, so now I've got my front piece out, so now I got a little bit to get a hold of. Trying to pull it forward. Trying to pull it from underneath here. Of course, I'm doing this one-handed, so, So as you can see right here, that clip is coming out. Now actually on this, someone actually put this underneath the front grille. It's really supposed to be on top. So I'm going to have to get this angled out and rotate it. Okay, but when this goes back in, this needs to be sitting on top of this right here. See that right there? It was previously underneath it. So on top and not under. Alright. Once you get your assembly out, remember high beams, low beams. This is the one you cannot get to because it's buried in the fender. So that's why you have to take this out. I'll tell you the number one thing, when you take this cap off, put it somewhere really obvious, because you know how many times I put this whole thing back together and left the stupid cap off. It's kind of enraging. So, again, these are H11Bs, so watch what happens. It's actually turned, rotated into this for the connector. So you just rotate out, so you've got these little blade connectors. Okay. those blade connectors is what you're going to connect here. So on the H11, alright, so on a normal H11 bulb, you've got a plastic electrical connector that sits on top of this. So with the H11B, you've got these two guys, so your bulb is going to set in its hole and rotate into the connector. That's the big difference. So that's, I think, what sets this apart, and why I think this particular set here is, when I looked at the photos, this is the only one that had the option for blade connectors. So that's why I think this is critical for the H11Bs. Now, there may be other sets out there on Amazon that have it. I just didn't see them. I have no idea what the quality of this product is. I'm going to try it, and we'll see. All right. So, next challenge. Obviously, your old bulb was out. So in their little booklet, they say, hey, just take this and just stick it in the hole and rotate it, and it'll lock down and be all happy. But as you can see, there's like, you know, it's got that lip on it. Okay? That's not, it's not going to fit in that hole. I mean, there's no way. Like, it could sit there and you have your cap on, but it's gonna rotate, you know, it's gonna sit there and flop. That's not a good solution. And I tried flipping this around. So I tried rotating it this way, and then you see that there's a lip inside there, so this will not go down with this orientation. So, has to be done with the flange on the top. Okay. So then I take the flange and I'm looking at this, and again, it has to be rotated this way. I mean, even by itself, there's just no way. I can maybe kind of jimmy it in there. It just doesn't work. So, what I did on the other side, got a little creative. So, take out these three little screws. Easier said than done, apparently. Magnetic tips are really a beautiful thing because you don't want to drop this down into the housing. Come on, baby. Okay. So my interchangeable tip screwdriver is a little thinner because that angle is really hurting me on getting a good bite on this screw. Okay, there we go. So that edge was pushing me too much at an angle to get a good bite on it, and it was a little too difficult. Nothing lost inside. So, second thing that I found out, when you pull this out, so we're going to set our, again, as we put where this part of the piece is up, you want the flange down. So you can set this like this, but with that, it's not going to go in the hole, but because the hole's there, it's just kind of like rolling around, and I had a really hard time, number one, trying to get it to sit straight. You can do this, and there is a rotation here. There, that fits pretty good right there, right? Problem is, when you tighten this back down, this still flops around. So this piece is still going to sit here and move because it's not getting trapped hard enough between here and here. Thus, you're going to get bulb shake. So, went to Lowe's, went to hunting. I was thinking about maybe filling this with some large opening washers. But when I got to Lowe's, I found a thick rubber grommet, and I'll show you some photos. Now this little guy will fit right down in this hole. Okay. Filling the hole. Alright, which is nice. And then when this sits on top of it, it gives it more stability. Now on the bottom of this, it also has some little nubs. See those little deals right there? So that's going to actually stick into that rubber grommet and kind of grab it. Now my piece right here is bent. I made a mistake earlier and closed the hood with it sitting up on the edge, so I bent this little lip, so yours is just going to be completely flat around. But anyway, so I'm going to set this in. You see how you get, if you do it that way, a lot of turn. So I think I had it earlier this way. It was flush, but it was also stable. Okay, there you go. That feels nice and stable. So as long as that gets trapped in that particular spot, so that's going to be nice and stable, especially once I pinch it down. Okay, so our blade connectors. So we got our blade connectors here. Normally, obviously, our little pieces are going to turn into that. All right. So we're doing a little blade connectors like this, and they're going to insert kind of like that. But of course, this side's going to be open because that's where the other bulb rotated into it. So in theory, these things could slip out. It grips them pretty good. So I mean, this thickness again on this particular brand seems pretty good. I'm going to put some dielectric on this just to kind of make sure that it's extra gripped. You don't know what that is. AutoZone Special CRC. technician grade dielectric grease. So, anyway, it's for electrical connectors, supposed to keep out moisture and all that stuff, but I think it'll also add just a little bit of better grip for the plug, so hopefully it won't go away. Alright, so again, we're going to set this set our little piece in here. Try to get it into a position. So to me, it feels better right there. I get very little movement there. Okay, and so now you'll see that the non-collared side is going to be sticking up, looking at you. Okay. The lighting will cooperate. Obviously, you're going to line up your screw holes. Now, what you might do as well is, it's probably easier to stick these plugs while it's unscrewed and out. So I'm going to, obviously I can't do that one-handed, so I'm going to do that before I screw this thing down. So. Alright, so I've inserted the blades. I've still got my little plastic piece here, so now I'm going to lay all of this in there and screw it down. Alright, so now we're screwing everything, tightening everything down here. So the benefit of the grommet is now your collar is not moving, it's not shaking. So when we insert our bulb, it should be good. Alright, so this is basically sitting, this will be the top of the bulb when it goes top of the housing, headlight assembly, bottom. So what I'm going to do, you got your LEDs on each side, I'm going to insert it where they're going left and right. You can kind of tell from where this wire is, it's right associated to where, if the wires at the bottom, they should be going left and right. I'm not an expert on this, but that's just my opinion. And on these vehicles, the bulb, the lens is kind of a, it's not a transparent lens. I don't remember the term for it, but I don't know that really the orientation matters because I don't think it's going to really shine straight through anyway. Obviously, you've got your fan on top here for cooling. So when you're pushing, you don't want to push on this fan because it's probably got a small, I guarantee you this is probably some plastic piece of crap little bearing fan. So all your pressure needs to be on the outside edges. Again, we're sliding it down on that rubber. So you want to get it all the way down on there. So now as you can see, because of our rubber bushing that I put in, this isn't shaking. Okay? Very stable. Okay? And then if you can also see, our blades are still in. Again, it's going to be interesting to see if this holds up to vibration over time. But it is installed. And remember, do the stupid cap before you put it back on. Don't get in a hurry, because you'll be pulling the whole assembly back out of the car. Alright, obviously we're going to test for polarity because the blades can be inserted with different polarity. So if you get it wrong, the bulb will not turn on. But I got lucky and got it right the first time. Nice. So we got that side, and we got that side. And you can see I've still got yellow. I mean, my lenses are still pitted and all that junk, but instead of it being a yellow light, it's a white light, and it's really shining through. And of course at night we'll find out the big difference. And I didn't leave a bulb in for the video to show you the difference. This video is really, trust me, it'll be better. Okay. The point of this video is really just to show you how I came up with a creative solution to get this lens set to install in the 09 Kia, have it stable so it's not shaking around, vibrating on you, because you don't want a bulb vibrating while you're driving down the road. Hope you enjoyed it.